remember, Minya, the world will have staggering more debt the next time.
세계 증시는 지금 새로운 기로에 서 있습니다. 글로벌 주요 지수가 연일 신고가를 경신하는 가운데 이러한 상승세가 버블인 건지, 과연 고점은 어디인지 갈피를 잡기가 어렵습니다. 코로나19 바이러스를 잡기 위한 여정 속에 변이 바이러스라는 변수도 등장했습니다. 미국을 비롯한 주요국들의 통화정책도 매파적으로 변하고 있는데요. 이렇게 복잡하게 변화하는 거시경제 상황을 진단하고 포스트 코로나 시대에 대비한 투자 아이디어를 얻기 위해 오늘은 저희 매일경제TV가 세계 3대 전설의 투자자 짐로저스와의 특별한 시간을 마련했습니다. 그럼 지금부터 짐로저스를 만나보겠습니다. Good morning, Jim. 네, 첫 번째 질문 드립니다. 코로나19 백신 보급이 가속화하면서 글로벌 경제도 새로운 국면에 진입했죠. 코로나 백신 접종 이후 우리 경제와 일상 모두 정상으로 돌아가길 바라는 마음이 큰데요. 앞으로 거시경제는 어떤 변화를 맞이하게 될까요?
Well, Menu, first we have to figure out if the vaccinations work. They never have been fully tested like previous vaccinations, so some people get the virus even after they've been vaccinated. But let's assume they work. If they work, then eventually everybody will be vaccinated and everything will go back to normal, whatever normal is. There'll be many changes because any crisis causes big changes. For instance, you and I are doing this over the internet. We could have done it over the internet 10 years ago. We probably would not have. But here we are, and that education is going to be over the internet, and medicine is going to be over the internet. Many things will be over the internet now. So there will be changes, and we will go back to some kind of normalcy. But remember, Minya, the world will have staggering more debt the next time, and it is good time to be old, because old people get the benefit of all this, and they don't have to pay the debt. But I've got teenage children. Oh my gosh, the America that they're going to inherit is going to be full of problems in their entire lifetime. So there are going to be many things that are going to change in the world, some for the better, some for the worse.
네, 좋은 쪽의 변화가 있다면 나쁜 쪽의 변화도 있겠죠. 안 그래도 팬데믹 공포가 잠잠해지니 인플레 공포가 찾아왔습니다. 각국에서 인플레 우려를 둘러싼 논쟁이 펼쳐지고 있는데 현재 인플레이션 정말 걱정할 수준이라고 보십니까?
Many, you should be worried about everything. We should all be worried about everything. I have learned in my life, if you don't worry, you're going to find real serious problems. Yes, we should be worried. Inflation is here. Governments lie about it for many reasons, but it's here. Whenever throughout history you've printed staggering amounts of money and borrowed staggering amounts, it has led to problems, inflation problems. It is again, and it's going to get worse. It won't get worse every day, every week, or even every month. But inflation is here for many reasons, and it's going to continue to get worse. You should start thinking about ways to protect yourself, Minya, because it's not going to be fun. It never is.
네, 걱정해야 되네요. 그렇다면 인플레이션 시대를 대비해서 우리가 어떻게 대처하는 게 좋을까요?
Well, first, Minya, you should always, no matter who you are, only invest in what you yourself know a lot about. I will tell you some of the things I'm doing, but you should not do unless you yourself know a lot about it. Please do not invest in something you hear on the television or the internet. Please only invest in what you know, and you will survive. And then you might even come out very rich. In the 1930s, there were people who came out of all that very, very rich because they knew what they were doing and they stayed with it. One of the things that I am doing is I am buying commodities because by definition, if we have inflation, that means prices are going up. Well, if prices are going up, that's wheat, that's copper, that's gasoline. You know, that's the stuff that goes up. So if you own that stuff, you're going to make a lot of money. I own silver. I own gold. I will be buying more silver. I'll be buying more gold as we go along. But Minya, if you don't know what silver is or how to buy it, please do not buy silver. Maybe you learn about silver, but don't buy it unless you know what you're doing.
네, 이어서 통화정책 관련 질문도 드릴게요. 최근 FOMC 결과를 보니 예상보다 매파 분위기가 강하게 감지됐는데요. 향후 주요국들의 통화정책 기조에는 어떤 변화가 일어날까요?
Well, I've changed from, there already has been a huge change in the past few months. Nearly all governments around the world are printing huge amounts of money. Never in world history have people printed so much money. In Japan, the head of the Bank of Japan says he will print unlimited, that's his word, unlimited amounts of money. America's doing it, Britain, everybody's doing it. So yes, there's already been a change. We have never, ever had monetary policy like this in history where so much money is being printed. So that change is here. Eventually, it's going to have to stop, and it will stop. And when it does, we're all going to have serious problems. You should be worried. What you should do is watch MBN.
네, 본격적인 증시 얘기로 들어가 보겠습니다. 미국을 필두로 지금 글로벌 증시는 역대급 호황기를 맞이하고 있는데요. 그 이면엔 버블을 우려하는 시선도 상당합니다. 글로벌 증시 버블이라고 생각하시는지요?
Well, there is a bubble developing in the U.S. Some stocks like Amazon, Google go up every day. They never go down. They're very expensive and high price. It's not a complete bubble yet because not everything, not all stocks are in the bubble yet. I mean, you know, 10 cent, Samsung. I mean, stocks go up all the time. So we have bubbles developing, property in Seoul, property in New Zealand. We have some bubbles developing. Bonds are the highest they've ever been in world history. So bonds are clearly a bubble. I would not think about buying bonds unless they're short-term or special situation. So we do have bubbles developing in the world, in the stock market, which I think is what you're asking about mainly. It's beginning, but it's not there yet. I would not buy bubble stocks. The U.S. is near all-time highs. I don't think I would be buying much in the U.S., but if you look around and you find opportunities, yes. If you find some, please send me an email. I'll do my homework.
네, 한국 증시에 대한 의견도 여쭤보겠습니다. 한국도 작년부터 개인 투자자들의 주식 열풍이 거세지면서 동학 개미운동이라 할 정도의 붐이 일었는데요. 코스피는 앞으로도 상승 여력이 있다고 보시는가요? 아니면 버블이라고 보시는지요?
Not coming to the end. Everything I just said about America and other countries is true in Korea as well. New investors, fun, easy to make money. Many new accounts are being opened up. New stocks are being discovered. So I don't think it's the end yet, but it's not the beginning. It's not the bottom. I have seen this movie before, Minya. I know how this movie ends. And I wouldn't bail out of Korea yet, or Japan, or anywhere. But I know how it's going to end, and I'm getting more worried.
네, 그러니까 결말은 언젠가는 버블을 맞이할 수밖에 없다는 이야기로 들리는데요. 그렇다면 버블의 징후는 어떻게 발견할 수 있는 건가요?
Well, usually these things start in small companies or small countries where people are not paying attention. In 2008, it was Iceland. Iceland went bankrupt, but nobody even knew what Iceland was or where it was, that it could go bankrupt. And then it scattered. I mean, it snowballed over the next few months, and eventually Lehman Brothers went bankrupt, and everybody knew. So it is probably already starting. You see Indian banks are having trouble. Latvia may be bankrupt. You know, you see places and small things happening. As I said, I'm not selling out of the U.S. or Korea or Japan or anywhere yet. But I see the signs, and I'm watching for things that people are not watching because that's how it snowballs. So be careful. You watch MBN and see what the things that not on everybody's radar, and be attentive.
그렇다면 이제 투자 전략을 들어봐야겠습니다. 코로나가 전 세계 산업 패러다임을 바꿔놓았는데 포스트 코로나 시대에는 어떤 산업이 유망하다고 보십니까?
Well, in Korea, you have a word that means disaster and opportunity, the same thing. And for what it's worth, the Japanese have the exact same symbol, exact same character. Chinese have the exact same character. In China, it's called Meiji. Weiji. In Japan, it's called Kiki. You've all been around longer than we have. We don't have the word in English. Mean disaster and opportunity, the same thing. You've been here longer than we have. We've had a disaster, so it leads to opportunity. Things like shipping, tourism, restaurants, anything to do with travel has been beaten down. So there are probably opportunities there. If you buy disaster, you often come out way ahead in a few years. Some countries have been obliterated. Some industries have been obliterated. Agriculture has been hurt because the inventories have been worked off and production has not been skyrocketing. So there are many disasters. And do you know what the word is in Korean? I don't remember. It's Weiji in Chinese. It's Kiki in Japanese. It's the same. Anyway, if you figure out the word, remember it in your investing career.
네, 그리고 오래전부터 우리나라에 대해서 가장 매력적인 투자처가 될 것이다라고 강조를 해 오셨는데요. 한반도에 대해서 매력적으로 보고 있는 이유가 있으신가요?
You know, Korea is going to be the most Korean Peninsula, Hanbando, if I say it right. Hanbando is going to be the most exciting place in the world once the 38th parallel opens. And when that happens, oh my gosh, I want to put a lot of money into Hanbando. Not yet, because I don't know when it's going to happen. So that's the main thing in Korea. Things like travel, you know, Hanbando has never been on the world tourism map for many, many reasons in history, which you hope you know. But once the 38th parallel opens, there are going to be a lot of people going to say, wait a minute, let's go see. Let's go see what it is. There'll be huge curiosity. And when they get there, they will say, oh my gosh, good food, good scenery, good beaches, historic sites, temples, everything. And Hanbando will be very, very exciting. So travel, tourism will be great in Hanbando. There will be many things that will do well in Hanbando once the 38th parallel opens.
네, 그렇다면 한반도가 통일이 된다면 특히나 어떤 산업이 유망할까요?
I didn't say reunification. I said open the 38th parallel. You can have Hanbando can exist without unification for a while, for years, for even days or years, who knows how long, if the 38th parallel is open. And then tourism. I mentioned tourism before, travel. I own shares of Korean Airlines. Not a great airline, but, you know, if and when the 38th parallel opens and travel takes place, it will be great. I own a Nanti, which owns a property in North Korea, which has been shut for a long time. But if it ever opens, it will be fabulous. Agriculture in Korea will be very exciting. Agriculture in the world is going to be exciting, but certainly in Korea, it's going to be great. Anything to do with trade will be good.
네, 한편 바이러스와 이상기온으로 세계적으로 식량 문제가 심각해지고 있습니다. 농업 분야를 가장 유망한 분야라고 전망하셨었는데 여전히 그렇게 생각하시나요?
I'm extremely optimistic about agriculture. Agriculture has been a disaster for 30 years or so, decade. The average age of farmers in America is 58. In Japan, it's 66. I mean, nobody wants to be a farmer. I'm sure the people you went to school with, very few of them are farmers now. They all became stockbrokers or TV people or something else. But that leads to great opportunities. The highest rate of suicide in the UK is agriculture. Millions of Indian farmers have committed suicide. More people in America study public relations than study agriculture. So agriculture is great. price of sugar, for instance, is down 70% from its all-time high. That's not a typo. 70%. I mean, agriculture is a disaster. And remember the Korean word for agriculture, for disaster. Disaster and opportunity are the same thing. You know how to drive a tractor, Minya? I urge you to learn how to drive a tractor. Maybe you can become the agricultural reporter for Minya.
네, 저에게 트랙터 모는 법을 꼭 배우라고 조언하시네요. 제가 할 일이 생겼군요. 그럼 한국의 농업 전망은 어떻게 보십니까?
Well, Korea is not a great agricultural nation, never can be. It cannot be Brazil. It cannot be Argentina or Canada or US or something. You don't have the hectares. You don't have enough land. And you don't have the topography. But still, you can and have produced agriculture in the past, and you will again. Yeah, I think it's got a great future. I said, again, very few people you know became farmers. That's true all over the world, and that's an opportunity, if you like it. I would not be a good farmer, but if you like that kind of life, whew, you're going to be very rich.
네, 지금 한국은 부동산 시장도 계속 들썩이고 있습니다. 한국만의 문제는 아닌 것 같은데 어떻게 생각하시는지요? 향후 부동산 시장을 전망해 주신다면 어떨까요?
In many countries in the world, there is a boom, a bubble actually, in many places, and that's partly because interest rates are so low. Interest rates have never been this low, and when interest rates are low, it helps people buy property. And that's one reason there's a lot of investment or speculation in property prices, and they become extremely expensive, and that bubble will pop. I'm not sure when, but it's going to pop. It always has. Property in many places is completely inaccessible or too expensive for many people, including Korea, including some. Now, I don't particularly like it because I know it will end badly, but I also know that when interest rates go higher, property prices will start to slow down. First, they get too high, and that will cause it to end eventually. But then when interest rates go higher and everybody has property, it leads to a bear market. It leads to a decline.
네, 앞서서는 원자재에 투자하고 있다고 말씀을 해주셨었는데 그럼 원자재 쪽은 아직도 저렴하다는 의견이신가요?
Well, that's still true. Property we just talked about is a bubble in many countries. Bonds are a bubble in many countries. Stocks are beginning to form a bubble. I mean, silver's down 50% from its all-time high. Sugar's down 70%. Oil is down 50%. These are not bubbles. These are not overpriced markets when they're down 50, 70%, et cetera. So commodities are still the cheapest asset class. That does not mean you should invest. But I'm investing, but it doesn't mean you should. If you don't know what lead is, if you don't know what copper is, please do not invest unless you know what you're doing.
네, 암호화폐 시장에 대한 뷰도 궁금해지네요. 일각에선 더 이상 암호화폐를 비주류 가장자산으로만 보기는 힘들다는 시각도 있는데요. 새로운 주류 투자처로 암호화폐를 바라보는 것은 어떻게 생각하실까요?
Well, I know people who apparently have made fortunes investing and trading cryptocurrencies. If you're a good trader, by all means. A problem is, as you may know, Minya, hundreds of these have already disappeared and gone to zero. There are thousands of them now. I suspect that most of them will not survive. Maybe none of them will survive. The bulls, the optimists say that crypto will be the new currency. My view is that if they become successful as currency, the governments will do something about that, because governments don't like competition. Governments don't like to lose their monopoly. Governments want to know everything. Crypto is already, I mean, money is already going to the computer. If you go to China, you cannot take a taxi using money. You cannot buy ice cream using money. You have to use your own money. Every country is working on that. It's coming. But my view is it will be government money. And if computer money becomes successful, governments will do something to stop it. They always have. They want to keep their monopoly, and they love computer, Minya, they'll know everything about you. They will call you up one day and say, Minya, you've been drinking too much tea. Stop drinking so much tea. They will know everything. I mean, I don't like this. Governments love it. Oh my gosh, they love it. So that's the future. Electronic money is the future, but in my view, it will be government electronic money, which I don't like. I have to face facts.
네, 책 이야기도 해볼게요. 짐로저스 하면 인베스트먼트 바이커라는 저서가 가장 유명한데 최근 대전환의 시대라는 신간을 내셨네요. 이번 책의 핵심 내용은 무엇인지 한마디로 정리해 주시죠.
The new book, well, yes. One of the main points that I want the people to know is that Japan is peaking. Japan is in decline. You know, they have gigantic debt and the population is declining and they're going to have huge, huge problems. At the same time, Korea, Hanbando, is rising again and more. So if you want to look around the world, look at Korea and leave Japan. That's one. There are many crises coming because of too much debt. In 2008, the world had a problem because of too much debt. Oh, man, since 2008, the debt everywhere has skyrocketed. Even in China, the debt has skyrocketed. So the basic point is there's too much debt. It's going to end very badly. It always has. And if you look around the world, you should be thinking about leaving Japan. And if you're looking for a place to go, think about going to Korea. Korea's on the rise, will be on the rise once you open the 38th parallel.
한편 최근 한국의 핫 이슈는 36세 최연소 야당 대표의 등장입니다. 분야를 막론하고 MZ세대가 차지하는 비중이 커지고 있는데 한국의 신세대 MZ세대에게도 한마디 해주시죠.
Careful. I would certainly urge everybody to spend some time out of their own country. It will help you learn who you are. You will know more about your own country if you spend some time abroad, because it will teach you, oh my gosh, they're different here. And it will help you will help learn about your own country. If you can, I urge everybody to learn another language, whatever it is. In my view, it should be Chinese or English, but there are plenty of languages that one can learn. So that will help you prepare for the 21st century. And I assure you, Manya, everything you know now, everything we know now, is going to be different in 2036, especially in Hanbando.
네, 끝으로 성공 투자를 꿈꾸는 한국의 개인 투자자들에게 꼭 강조하고 싶은 말이 있다면 어떤 말이 될까요?
Well, invest in what you know. Don't listen to the internet. Don't listen to hot tips. Hot tips will ruin you. Everybody wants a hot tip. Everybody wants to. I do too. But hot tips will ruin you. If you want to be a successful investor, be boring. Be boring. Stay with what you know. When you go down to the bar, people will say, oh my gosh, there she is talking about that again. Well, be boring. If you want to be successful, stay with what you know. Don't jump in and out all the time. And be boring.
네, 오늘 출연해 주셔서 감사합니다. Thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it. 네, 투자자들에게 로저스가 거듭 강조한 한마디는 be boring이었습니다. 저는 이 문장을 재미가 없더라도 정석대로 투자하세요라고 해석을 해봤습니다. 또 그는 항공과 여행 업종을 포스트 코로나 시대의 주인공이 될 것으로 주목하면서 원자재 투자의 장점을 강조했습니다. 조금 더디고 지루한 투자처일 수도 있지만 천천히 차근차근 준비하고 기다리다 보면 분명 큰 기회가 올 것임을 그는 확신하고 있었습니다. 대부분의 사람들이 쉽고 재밌고 빠른 투자 성과만을 원합니다. 하지만 가장 빠른 길은 포기하지 않고 꾸준한 투자를 하는 것뿐이며 어려운 시기가 와도 도망치지 않고 인내하는 자세가 그 어떤 것보다 중요하다는 교훈을 얻어갑니다. 매일 아침 매일경제TV가 준비한 짐로저스와의 특별대담, 기로에 놓인 증시, 위기는 곧 기회다. 여기서 마치겠습니다. 오늘도 현명한 투자를 준비하시는 여러분들에게 많은 도움 되셨길 바랍니다. 고맙습니다.